Thank you so much for coming to this parent conference. I just want to start by saying that I love having Power Ranger in my class. She is such a sweet girl, and she's great at listening and following directions. And some things that we've been working on that she's been doing awesome is high frequency sight words. As well, she knows really well what she needs to do when she gets to a word that she doesn't know, and I think that's really in big part thanks to you as parents reading with her, and I know that she can thank you for that. So I just want to kind of go over some of the assessments that I've given to Power Ranger, just so you kind of know where this is coming from. The first one is called a Burke Reading Interview. Basically, I just asked her some questions that help me get to know a little bit better what she thinks a good reader is, how she feels as a reader, and what she thinks she needs to do when she comes to those words she doesn't know, which helps me get a good idea of if she has some strategies that she knows she can use when she gets to those words, and what her confidence level is when it comes to reading. I also did 3 running records, which is just when I sit there and I listen to her reading and I kind of follow along and I make any notes about words that she's missing, notice any patterns in her reading, or maybe mistakes that she's making, and I also look to see how often she's correcting herself when she comes to a mistake, which just helps me see what kind her thought process when she comes to words that she doesn't know. After I do those running records, I always ask her what she read about, if she can tell it back to me, and her retelling skills are really great. She understands what she's just read. She can tell it back to me. This is what happened first, next, then last, which we really like to see. I've also looked at a bunch of her writing samples, and then I'm just looking to see what kind of language she's using, what her grammar and what the words themselves look like, the letters, what she's writing about, that kind of thing. We also do a spelling inventory just to see what kinds of patterns she recognizes really well and really easily, what we need to work on next as far as spelling patterns. And I also chose to do a high frequency word reading with her just to make sure that wasn't in her way of her reading fluency, which it's not. She's doing awesome with her high frequency words. When we did that high frequency word assessment, she actually read 33 of the 36 words without any problem. She picked them up, read it, was done. So that was really awesome to see. So in order to continue to work with those high frequency words as she's getting farther along in her reading levels and continuing on, there's going to be more and more high frequency words. So something that I do at school is to introduce those high frequency words, do some word work, and then I have a word wall, just up on a wall, each letter of the alphabet, and then after we've familiarized the students with the words, we put them up on the wall under the letter that they belong with. And that's just a way that after they already know the word, that when they're going in the future to write it or read it, they can look up at their word wall and they can see it there. I'm going to send home for her some word searches that have those new high frequency words in them, just so she can continue to familiarize herself with them, to get to see them, so that when she does come to them in her reading, that she just knows them right away and she doesn't have to think about it at all, and it won't affect her fluency. For the retelling, like I said, she was able to, with very little prompting, retell all the things that she had read about with with lots of details. And I want to continue building on that comprehension. She's done really well with retelling. She always had really high scores on that. So I feel like the next step for her in her comprehension is to be able to ask harder questions, to really think about themes and ideas from the story and not just events. So to do this, I model thinking aloud using I sentence starters. So for example, if I was reading, I might say something like, I wonder if this might happen, or I was confused by this. or I didn't understand why. And by modeling these thinking aloud, we're helping her think about books these same ways, think about ideas. And we even prompt these in reading groups by saying, what did you wonder about? What would you like to know more of? What do you think the main idea is? And these are really good questions that get her to start thinking deeper about these texts and not just what happened in the story. But as far as at home, I know you guys do a lot of reading with her. And just continue after you're done reading. Ask her what she read about. Or after she's done reading for her homework, what were some of the details that you remember in the story? What happened first? And these are just going to continue as she is reading at a higher and higher level. We need to make sure that comprehension is there, so that as things get harder, we don't lose that comprehension, that meaning that we're making from the reading. Finally, on the spelling inventory that I gave her, she did really well with her beginning and her ending sounds. She missed one or two on both of those just because she flipped a couple letters, which we see a lot in this grade. It's not uncommon to flip letters around. She also wrote her short vowels were all correct in all 7 words, which is awesome. So we want to extend this even into making words. So she's not just recognizing it, but that she's able to manipulate the letters and create those sounds. So in guided reading, we have these cards, a few letter cards, and they have different letters on them. And we're going to work to create 2, 3, 4, and 5 letter words. Just manipulating those sounds, manipulating the consonants and the vowels, and we'll have a graphic organizer, a chart where she can write down all the words that she's making. And then at home, I'm going to send home a word sort. And these words all have different short vowel sounds. And she'll cut them out and sort them by vowel sound, which is just a really good way to solidify, to recognize patterns, to recognize how those words fit together. Something that I would like to work on with Power Ranger is adding punctuation to her writing. She has really original thoughts in her writing. She writes about things that are important to her, and I think by adding punctuation, we can really start to get more, to get longer writing, to start forming paragraphs instead of just one long sentence. And that's really going to bump up on her writing assessment, her lowest score. On both writing assessments, we're in language level, which involves use of punctuation to create sentences. And at school, we're going to work on this by doing interactive writing. And that's where we have a small group and we work together word by word to write a short letter or a short story. And that's where we take the time to make sure the first word is capitalized and everything's spelled right and the spacing looks perfect. And especially with Power Ranger, we'll focus on adding the punctuation so that we can make sure to have that writing be really concise. At home, I think it would be really awesome if you could encourage her to write notes to you, to other family members. It's just a really fun and real way to include writing in her real life. And as much as you can focus on adding that punctuation so that she's writing those full and complete sentences, that's awesome. We talked before about how she's been doing a great job with her letter sounds. So the next step is going to be working on digraphs, which digraphs is just a fancy way to say one letter sound that's made with two consonants. So that's going to be things like CH, SH, TH. That's going to be the next step for her in her spelling. At school, we do a sound matching activity where I have objects or pictures that include the same sound, and they'll match them up together. So, for example, I'd have like a chair and a picture of a child and a shirt, and they would match the chair and the child, and I identify that sound and come up with the CH that goes with it. And then at home, I'm going to send home, I I would encourage you throughout the day to just add in little sound matching activities of your own, where you can ask her what two-letter sounds what two letters make the sound in any given word. So, for example, if you're driving by church, you could say, what two letters make the ch sound in the word church? Just little things like that you can incorporate so she starts hearing those and starting to recognize those patterns. Overall, I just want to say that I love having her in my class. We're going to be working on punctuation with that interactive writing and having her writing notes to you and to her siblings. And we're also going to be working on digraphs by doing those sound matching activities. And I know that she's going to continue to progress, and especially as we work together to do these things at school and at home and make that connection, she's going to be really successful, and I'm excited to see it.